Hello, this is the Monday Agenda. The Monday Agenda today is highly privileged to have an interview with the American Ambassador to Tanzania, His Excellency Donald Wright. Your Excellency, very welcome to the program. And thank you so much for hosting us at your residence.
Austin, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. So I understand and gathered that it's close to, or you've clocked a year plus in Tanzania, but you've been in Tanzania before. So if you are looking onto your experience or your past stay in Tanzania and now, how would you tell, maybe to start on a light note a little bit?
Absolutely. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm actually a physician by background, and I first came to Tanzania 33 years ago.
33 years.
33 years ago as a medical volunteer. I worked in the pediatric ward at the hospital in Zanzibar. We spent a great deal of time treating malnutrition, parasites, malaria. Little did I know that I would return to Tanzania 33 years later with the honor and privilege of being the United States ambassador. I have to say, from my experience 33 years ago, I developed a deep admiration and a healthy respect for the Tanzanian people. I found them to be very warm, very optimistic, and very friendly, and that is something that has not changed. The people are the same, and the beauty of the country is obviously not changed as well. But there's been a great deal of progress. The infrastructure, the buildings has markedly changed over the 30 years.
And have you been to, and I know you have, but probably a bit of your experience when you went back to Zanzibar?
Yes, I had an opportunity to go back to the same hospital, Mnazi Moja, went back to the same ward, and saw where I worked 33 years ago. Obviously, there's been significant improvements, the additional of medical technology, but the exact ward I worked in. And I was very pleased to be reunited with one of the medical students that I worked with 33 years ago, and he's now in a leadership position in that hospital.
Excellent.
So it was a privilege to go back and reconnect.
I'm sure you met the president of Zanzibar as well, and I'm very sure that he was very pleased that
It was a pleasure to meet the president, and you know, we have something in common. We're both physicians by background,
yes.
and ended up in government service or public service. So we had that common interest.
Interesting. That's great. Tanzania this year will be celebrating 60 years of since independence, and you recently launched Pamoja 60, which basically celebrates the mutual, wonderful relationship that Tanzania has with the United States of America. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it was actually 60 years ago this month that your founding father, Nyerere, actually flew across the Atlantic to meet with our president, President John Kennedy. And that began our long-standing bilateral relationship between the two countries. Obviously, President Kennedy, but on a larger scope, I think Americans in general developed a healthy respect for Tanzania. And out of that respect came a commitment to help with Tanzania's development. And I have to say that commitment to development has not wavered at all over the past 60 years. If you go back to the early days, President Nyerere was very interested in trying to build the infrastructure of this country, and the United States went in and helped build the Tanzanian-Zambian highway, which increased the infrastructure, but more importantly, it opened agricultural markets for Tanzanian goods. Obviously, as a teacher, the president was committed to access to high-quality education, and over the 60 years of our bilateral relationship, we've sent thousands of Peace Corps volunteers to the most remote areas of Tanzania to serve as teachers, English teachers, math teachers, science teachers, and worked in health and education as well. Let me say that our commitment to education and improving the education here is not limited to teachers, but we've also built a number of institutes of higher learning, a teacher school here in Dar es Salaam and in Iringa, an agricultural school, a school of wildlife management, and a public administration institute. So we really have worked alongside the Tanzanian people. I think we named this campaign Pamoja 60 because we firmly believe that if we lock arms with Tanzania, if we work side by side, that there's nothing we can't achieve. And there's such evidence of the strong bilateral relationship over the last 60 years.
And in terms of, you've touched more onto the cultural aspects, but looking maybe highlight a few of economic aspects as well. trade between Tanzania and the United States, or trade missions between our two countries, and the lines of support. Tanzania now in the middle income state, the issues of industrialization. I really wish, and I'm sure my viewers would be interested also to know the support that the United States of America has extended to the government of Tanzania.
Absolutely, Austin. I came in with three priorities, and actually the second priority is aligned with what you just said, which is business. Two elements of that, I really wanted to promote reciprocal trade between our two countries. I would love to see more Tanzanian goods on the shelves of American stores, and vice versa, more American goods here. There's a huge opportunity through the AGOA Act, which allows Tanzanians' goods to penetrate the U.S. market with very beneficial tax benefits. In addition to that, I'm very interested in promoting U.S. investment in Tanzania. And I have to say, over the last several months, as I've met with the Minister of Investment, the Minister of Trade and Industry, the Finance Minister, there is a tremendous amount of alignment between my desire to bring U.S. investment to this country and what the host government would like to see. You know, it's a win-win situation. Yes. I know with U.S. investment in country, it brings needed capital here, it brings innovation. It really helps with employment, it raises tax revenues. So it's good for American business and it's good for Tanzanians, and it's something that I'm committed to moving forward on during my tenure.
Beautiful. And maybe to speak a little bit about the tourism sector as well. We probably are doing very well, but I'm sure with the guidance and support from a nation like the United States, we can do better. What's your take on that?
Oh, absolutely. Austin, I have to tell you that I am enamored with the animal kingdom. I'm actually majored in zoology in college. So what an opportunity to be the ambassador here in Tanzania with your abundant park system and abundant wildlife. You know, one of the things the United States Embassy has focused on over the years is wildlife conservation and making sure that this treasure that Tanzania has, which you're recognized across the world for, remains vibrant and can be enjoyed for generations to come. We've worked very closely on anti-poaching efforts, on conservation efforts, on environmental ecology issues, because we want the tourism industry to stay strong and robust here in Tanzania.
Excellent. Your Excellency, the sixth regime that just took office slightly over 100 days ago, following the tragic passing of the late John Pombe Magufuli, is now putting up things in place. It's not like they're not in place, but putting up things in place and, you know, restructuring, putting emphasis on the issues of investments, as you rightly said, but as well getting our produce out there in the world markets, but the aspects of tourism and so forth. What would you have to say about, you know, the 100 days plus of Our Excellency Samia Suluhu?
Absolutely. Well, Austin, let me begin by just saying that I personally and the United States as a whole were tremendously saddened with the untimely death of President Magufuli. And certainly we want to send our condolences to his friends, his family, his colleagues, and to the countless Tanzanians who continue to mourn his loss. But I also have to say that I think that President Hassan has been very adept in taking the leadership of this country. She presided over this country during a very difficult transition after the untimely loss of President Magufuli. I think she's done it with great poise, and I'm very pleased with what she's done so far. On a policy standpoint, let me say that we are very encouraged with so many things that we're seeing. Obviously, she has a strong interest in regional integration and engagement and international engagement. She's already been to several of your neighboring countries here to strengthen the ties between Tanzania and those countries, but we also feel that on the international stage and really reaching out to the international community. I think another thing that we see as very positive is her commitment to making the business investment climate more friendly to foreign direct investment. They would like to see more investment in country, and she wants to do whatever she can to help facilitate that moving forward. And lastly, I'll just say, as a physician, you know, what's very dear to my heart are health issues.
Yes.
And I am very pleased to see her take on the issue of COVID, which has been a problem in every country around the world, and to address it in a way that is effective for the citizens of that country.
Absolutely. Looking onto the emphasis that she's literally putting onto, especially attracting investment in the country, I wish to gather from you, Your Excellency, the types of investments that are in Tanzania, pioneered or championed by some American investors. Just a few to just get a glimpse of what's aspiring in the economy.
Absolutely. Well, you know, when I talk to American investors, I say that there's opportunities across the landscape. Certainly, this is a country rich in agriculture, and so I think agribusiness, whether it's processing, fertilizer, irrigation, those things are certainly an opportunity. Energy is another area that is ripe for expansion. I'm sure you're aware of the liquefied natural gas project that's being discussed in the southern part of this country, and the United States is one of multiple investors that are interested in that project. So energy is another area. We think that healthcare is an area that is open. We recently have been working with a telecommunications company that's interested in coming to Tanzania. I think that American companies are beginning to give Tanzania a second look as an area that they want to do business in. And certainly we've had an uptick in the number of companies that are asking about Tanzania as a destination. And without question, tourism will always be a focus of investment in country, not only as it relates to your rich park system here on the mainland, but Zanzibar has become quite an international tourist destination as well.
Your area of fashion, I really am trying to put together your medical background and being an ambassador for the country, and I really am. Every time I probably tune to the media, then I hear supported by the American people through the USA, the issues of malaria, for instance, the issues of HIV and AIDS. The efforts, are you happy, are you satisfied that all the support and the contribution that you're putting into the country are really meeting the targets, meeting the needs that the intended needs that were first put?
Oh, Austin, thank you for asking that question. We are heavily involved in the health sector here, which is very exciting to me as a physician who wants to promote health, that wants to improve health outcomes for the Tanzanian people. And there's so many areas we've worked in since for well over a decade. We've been heavily involved in HIV, as you know. And we're very encouraged with what we've seen. We now have well over 1 million Tanzanians that are receiving antiretroviral treatments based on the PEPFAR initiative that comes out of the United States. We know if we continue and work hard that we can bring that epidemic under control. I think another success story is malaria. We've worked very heavily with spraying, with bed nets, in so many of the rural areas of this country. And we know that the prevalence rate for malaria has dropped 10% since we began our efforts, which is very encouraging. I'm most encouraged on Zanzibar. We have been so successful on Zanzibar that the prevalence rate of malaria is less than 1%. We are so close to eradicating malaria on Zanzibar, and we want to continue our efforts. As encouraged as I am, the work's not done. We cannot drop our guard. We must continue to work very closely, hand in hand with the Tanzanian people, to address these health concerns. But it's not just malaria and HIV. We work in the area of tuberculosis. We work in global health security. We work in food insecurity, family planning. So across the landscape of health, we really do have a commitment to improving the health of the Tanzanian people, and we know by working closely with the host government we can do that. Pamoja,
Stevie, excellent. Your Excellency, two of the areas that I really am very passionate in personally are education and, of course, the issues of agriculture. You've tackled very well on the issues of agriculture. You wish to see more Tanzanian products in the U.S. and vice versa. We have, and they're interrelated in terms of education, skills that I think we shortfall going into industrialization with shortfall of, skills, the technical skills, and of course getting the products to America. There's issues of branding, issues of, packaging, getting them to the standard that can actually be attractive to the American market. My question, Your Excellency, is how can then this be seen as an opportunity to assist the Tanzanians or the Tanzanian government to be able to, sort of like uphold or improve the skills so that we can actually be able to, produce that quality of standards of goods that can, get into the American market, but as well improve the skills for the people that we can actually be able to say, yes, we are into an industrialized economy because we have what it takes in terms of skills, manpower, etc.
Well, thank you for that question. And let me say, first of all, I congratulate Tanzania for elevating its economic standard to lower middle income status. And we would like to see that economic growth continue. To that end, we think one of the engines for economic growth is your expanding young population, and youth empowerment is going to be a major area of emphasis for the U.S. Embassy. If you look at Tanzania as a whole, it's a very young country. I think that 2/3 of your population is less than 26 years of age. So we have this very large young population, which can be the engine for economic growth and the industrialization that you talk about, if they have the skills needed to make a strong contribution. So through our USAID program, we are going to be focusing on youth empowerment. Make sure that the youth of this country have the technical skills, the vocational training that they need to find meaningful employment once they reach adulthood. And that would include the digital economy, the use of technology. So many things are important. Let me say that we think that youth are very important, but we also think that women are an important component of your economy, and we've invested heavily in women entrepreneurial programs to give them the business skills that they need to make sure that their products can be seen on the international marketplace.
Okay. I'm very keen and interested in that, the women entrepreneurship. Would you give an example of some of the areas you have?
I just returned from Zanzibar and met with a group that we sponsor over there, where there is actually a leader who knows business, knows marketing, who meets with a cohort of Zanzibari women that may be manufacturing cosmetics or other herbal remedies or whatever, and she works with them to help them grow their businesses. They just need a little extra guidance to get their businesses to the next level, and that's what these programs are designed to do.
Okay. Your Excellency, the world has been struck by the COVID-19, and that did not leave Tanzania as well. Looking on to the COVID-19, the aspects, what is evolving, we're on to the third wave now. I wish probably to ask this question at this juncture, as into the U.S. position to Tanzania to support the government and the people of Tanzania combat the COVID-19.
Great. You are absolutely right. There's not a country in the world that has not been affected by COVID, and certainly that includes the United States. We've had over 600,000 deaths in the United States from COVID. Over 33 million of our citizens have had COVID. But we are beginning to turn the corner, and I relate that to the fact of immunization and vaccine. As of this week, almost 70% of Americans are now vaccinated against COVID. Even the emerging strains seem to be covered with the vaccines that are currently on the market. So we're very encouraged that there are better days ahead. As it relates to Tanzania, I have to say I'm very pleased with the direction that President Samia has taken with this. In the early days of her presidency, you know that she appointed an expert panel of some of the brightest minds here in Tanzania to advise her on what the appropriate course of action. I was thrilled to see the recommendations that were made, to learn that she received them, but not only received them, adopted them. And so public reporting that we think is important, the return of public health measures, being it social distancing, hand washing, the use of masks have returned. And we were thrilled to learn that Tanzania has applied for COVAX vaccine to bring vaccine into country. I have to also say that the United States is committed outside of COVAX to providing vaccine to under-resourced countries, and that would include Tanzania. Just this week, we have offered vaccine to Tanzania and are working through those channels. But in addition to that, President Biden has committed to buying 500 million doses of vaccine to provide to under-resourced countries. And we are very hopeful and optimistic that some of that can come here to Tanzania to help with the problem that is worldwide.
Wow. And catching up to that point, the Biden administration, which again has just taken the office, has, apart from that, what vision does the Biden administration have to Tanzania, probably Africa at large? Yes.
Austin, you're absolutely right. We've had a change of administration just like you have. President Biden took office in late January of this year, and I think from day one he made it clear that Africa, the entire continent, will be a priority for this administration. I was very heartened that one of his first public appearances occurred in February when he made a presentation to the AU and reiterated that message that Africa is a priority to the United States. It's early in the administration, but I think that there will be ample evidence of our commitment to Africa and re-energizing, reinvigorating those bilateral relationships with the country of Africa. And most recently, I think that there's strong evidence of that related to COVID and the support that we're providing by vaccine and also therapeutics as it relates to COVID in country. So strong days ahead for the relationship between the United States of America and the countries of Africa.
You are watching the Monday Agenda, and the Monday Agenda today is, as I said earlier, highly delighted to actually have the interview with the American ambassador to Tanzania, His Excellency Donald Wright. And we are looking onto the bilateral relationship between our two great countries and looking, of course, celebrating what the ambassador has launched. Have you personally launched it, or the embassy has launched?
Pamoja 60 has launched
Yes.
this month, and I encourage all your viewers to tune into our social media channels. Over the next 6 months, we're going to be highlighting the many aspects of the bilateral relationship between our two countries. And let me just say that clearly I am intent on working to make sure that the next 60 years of our bilateral relationship are even stronger than what we've experienced over these previous 60 years.
Kwa miaka 60, Marekani na Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania wamekuwa wabia wakubwa katika maendeleo, katika nyakati njema za ushindi na katika maafa ya majanga. Uhusiano kati ya watu wa Marekani na Tanzania umeendelea kuwa imara siku hadi siku. Leo hii Marekani ni mfadhili mkubwa zaidi wa Tanzania, ambapo kwa mwaka wa 2020 pekee ilitoa dola za Kimarekani milioni 546. Msaada wetu wa Marekani unaenda moja kwa moja kwa watu wa Tanzania, ukiboresha maisha yao kwa kupunguza kuenea kwa maradhi kama vile ukimwi na malaria, kuimarisha utoaji wa huduma za afya, kupanua upatikanaji wa elimu na kuwapa vijana ujuzi wa kazi wanaohitaji ili waweze kufanikiwa. Tunawekeza katika watu wa Tanzania kwa sababu tunaamini katika mustakabali mwema wa Tanzania. Twende pamoja.
Your Excellency Dr. Donald John Wright, Ambassador of the United States of America to the United Republic of Tanzania. Your Excellency Amada El Badoui Mohamed Faki, Ambassador of the Union of Comoros and the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps. Excellencies, Ambassadors and the High Commissioners, Heads of International Organizations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. I am extremely delighted and humbled to be part of this gathering to reflect and celebrate the 245th anniversary of the United States of America and the 60th anniversary of bilateral relations between the United Republic of Tanzania and the United States of America. I am also honored and grateful for the invitation extended to me to be the guest of honor at this auspicious occasion. Your Excellency, on behalf of Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and the government and people of the United Republic of Tanzania, I congratulate and convey our best wishes to the government of the United States of America on this historic milestone. The United Republic of Tanzania and the United States of America have been enjoying outstanding bilateral relations founded on mutual respect of sovereign equality of states, independence, and self-determination of our people. The thrust of our cooperation, which we cherish, was elevated to high heights with the signing of the historical, economical, and technical cooperation agreement on February 8, 1968. Since the establishment of our bilateral relations, Tanzania and the United States of America have been exchanging state visits on different occasions. In recent past, Tanzania was honored to welcome President Bill Clinton in 2000, President George W. Bush in 2008, and President Barack Obama in 2013, as well as the then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in 2008. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate 60 years of our bilateral relations between Tanzania and the United States this year, Tanzania will also be celebrating the 60 years of independence in December this year. The postulating series of historical events clearly shows that the United States of America has been with us from the founding stage of our nation and occupies a special place among our international partners. In these 60 years of cordial bilateral relations, the two countries have enjoyed friendly, stable, and promising cooperation in various socio-economic spheres. At the earlier years of our independence, the United States of America was one of the frontier states that contributed some expatriates to assist and work with their Tanzanian colleagues in various development programs, following the historic visit of the late Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere to Washington in 1962 when he met President John F. Kennedy. Tanzania has ever since hosted more than 3,000 Peace Corps volunteers, including the former Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Ambassador John Carson, who served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Tanzania from 1965 to 1968. I'm also proud to be one of the products of the work of the Peace Corps in Tanzania as they worked in our region, Kagera region, where I come from. Excellencies, in the recent past, in the same vein, I wish to thank the friendly people of the United States of America who worked tirelessly with local partners across the most remote parts of our country as mathematics and science teachers in secondary schools, teacher trainers in information and communication technology, leaders of health education projects that increased basic health knowledge, and leaders of environmental projects addressing basic village-led needs for sustaining natural resources. Your Excellency, the government of the United Republic of Tanzania reckons with great appreciation the continued contribution of the United States towards improving health, education, infrastructure, water, information, and communication technology, including the human resources and capacity building, as well as strengthening democracy, human rights, the rule of law, and good governance in the country. The United States agencies and development programs in Tanzania have been the benchmarks to the achievements of our cooperation. We also reckon the contribution of the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS, PEPFAR, the African Growth Opportunity Act, AGOA, the President's Malaria Initiative, the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, the African Contingent Training and Assistance, ACOTA, as well as U.S. leadership in funding the World Bank and African Development Bank. Excellency, allow me to express our sincere appreciation to His Excellency President Joe Biden, the President of the United States of America, and his administration for the decision to donate 80 million doses of COVID vaccines to countries around the world, including African countries and Tanzania. Excellencies, it is in this regard that the six-phase government, under the able leadership of President Samia Suluhu Hassan, promises to work closely with the United States of America and the global community in tackling this pandemic. I wish to inform this August gathering that the United Republic of Tanzania has joined forces with the global community in tackling COVID-19 pandemic by joining the COVAX initiative. The government of the United Republic of Tanzania, therefore, wishes to commend and appreciate the United States of America's recent decision to support the waiver of the trade-related intellectual property rights, meaning the TRIPS agreement at the World Trade Organization on COVID-19 vaccines. This is highly welcomed. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the government of the United Republic of Tanzania reaffirms commitment and looks forward to continue working with the government of the United States of America, its agencies and specialized programs in furthering the existing friendly relations and cooperation between the two countries to greater heights. The Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, the six-phase government and their leadership, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, is dedicated to improve the social, economic, and technological development in the country. It is further determined to strengthen its efforts to combat corruption, fight organized crimes, and strengthen human rights and good governance. At the international level, we are determined to strengthen cooperation with our partner countries, the regional and international organizations that Tanzania is a member for the mutual benefit of all parties. The six-phase government is also determined to continue its active participation in the international fora. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the successful implementation of these plans will require both domestic and international cooperation. In this regard, I wish to invite the government of the United States of America, the people, and all other like-minded partners to work with the government of the United Republic of Tanzania in advancing these objectives. Excellencies, with regards to trade and investment environment in the country, the government, in collaboration with the private sector, is formulating policies that will protect and create an enabling environment for the private sector to grow and flourish. Major reforms are being undertaken in the legal, fiscal, and public service sectors so as to ensure easiness in starting and doing business in the country. The recent reforms that have been undertaken by the government include the adoption of the implementation of the blueprint for regulatory reforms to improve business environment. The implementation of the blueprint has resulted to the removal of 154 nuisance taxes, rationalization, and harmonizing duplicating roles and functions of some of the regulatory authorities that were inhibiting effective participation and engagement of the private sector in both productive and commercial undertakings. Moreover, the government is in the process of reviewing the International Investment Act of 1997 and Investment Policy of 1996. This process is being conducted through participatory approach involving both public and private sectors. According to the statistics of the Office of the United States Trade Representative, in 2019, Tanzania was the 121st largest U.S. goods trading partner with US dollars 462 million in total of goods traded. The goods exports totaled US dollars 333 million. Goods imported totaled US dollars 130 million, and the US goods trade surplus with Tanzania was US dollars 203 million dollars. US foreign trade direct investments in Tanzania stock was 1.5 billion US dollars, while Tanzania's foreign direct investment in the United States stock was merely 1 million US dollars. There is therefore still a lot to be done in promoting balanced trade between our two countries. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with efforts to create more favorable environment for business and investment to flourish, I take this opportunity to invite and encourage more business investors from the United States of America and the other parts of the world to come and invest in different sectors of socio-economic and scientific development. Your Excellency, Ambassador Donald Wright, let me also use this occasion to thank you personally and your team for working closely with my Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, and for the confidence shown by the government of the United States of America in the leadership of the new six-phase government led by Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan, and we thank you for the continued support. Excellencies, as I conclude my remarks, allow me to reiterate Tanzania's continued commitment to working closely with the U.S. government at bilateral, regional, and multilateral forum for the mutual benefits of our two friendly nations and peoples. We hope the United States of America will also continue to build on successes we have achieved and continue to preserve efforts of our political, economic, social, environmental, military cooperation and support through scholarships, fellowships, and exchange of programs. Once again, please accept my heartiest congratulations on this auspicious occasion in celebrating the 245th National Day of the United States and 60th anniversary of the bilateral relations between the United Republic of Tanzania and the United States. And to my fellow Tanzanians here present, nawasalimia tena kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Kazi iendelee.
And just to understand, probably back and forth, but you know, in the world out there, when you mention America as a superpower, we look onto the aspects of course, economy, and looking onto Tanzania, excuse me, there's so much that we can learn in terms of technology. There's so much that we can, you know, sort of like adopt in terms of acquiring the technology to process our agricultural goods, for instance, so that, you know, we do not export raw materials or unfinished products into the world market, but looking onto the areas of value addition. I'm very personally keen on the support, probably the vision, probably it's ongoing, but how does America help Tanzania to add value to the produce that we produce so that, you know, we can attract more forex, we can, you know, access more international markets like the American market. And I really like the vision that you have, making the next 60 years stronger, getting Tanzanian products, you know, present in the American market, but looking onto how can now Tanzania tap onto the technology advancement that America has so that this actually coming 60 years can actually see Tanzania grow economically stronger as well.
Austin, I have to say we're totally aligned in our vision for the future. I had the opportunity to meet with the Minister of Agriculture, and we talked about some of these very issues that you mentioned here. In many ways, Tanzania is still a nation of farmers. I think 2/3 of your country, maybe even a little bit more, are actually employed in the agricultural industry. I think it's a missed opportunity when I see the tremendous bounty of of goods that are produced here in Tanzania, but shipped to other countries for processing. I think your cashews are a good example of that. In the southern part of the country where they are grown, you're known for your cashews, and yet they go to a third country for processing before they can enter the international marketplace. I would love to see American and other companies come in and establish processing companies, industries here in the country, so that the products, the agricultural products, can go from the farm to the processing center to the world. And we will be looking, and we have continued to look, for opportunities for American investors that are interested in the agribusiness enterprise to come and fill this need within the country. It would boost profits for the farmers in this country. It would help with employment, raise tax revenues. Absolutely. It truly could be a positive.
Shifting a little bit from agriculture, looking on to, we've spoken about tourism, the mining, extractive sector. You've touched a bit on the gas, which is wow. And I'm hoping that, soon we're going on to the positive strides. But looking onto the minerals, for instance, which Tanzania is richly endowed with, again, probably before they get into the market, they also have to go through a third country for polishing, cleaning. I think it's another gray area for investment in the country. But what do you have to say about that?
Oh, no, mining would certainly be in that class of the industries that I think are ripe for investing here in this country. But I have to say there's been some successes over the last 5 to 10 years in that area: gold mining, helium, a whole host of industries, and I think we'll see more of that. There was recently a nickel plant that was begun on the western side of the country that has some American investors in there. And I was very pleased to see not only is it an extraction process, but a processing facility adjacent to it as well. So again, that can occur in the country. I think mining will always be a major industry and source of revenue for Tanzania, and will only continue to grow as it has over the last 5 to 10 years.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Tanzania ports some of the landlocked countries and a gateway to the SADC, but to many other countries. And in your very personal opinion, Your Excellency, how best can we leverage on such an opportunity? I am quite inquisitive in terms of, we can do better economically with our ports, with our geographical position, but I'm not sure if we are there yet. Mm-hmm. So in your opinion, where do you think we should really tap on ensuring that we support, but again, through that support to the landlocked countries that surround us, we can also be able to grow as a nation?
Right. I totally agree with you that there's a huge opportunity for Tanzania with its coastline to help serve and provide products to many of the landlocked neighboring countries that you have. And I have to say that I think that that the host government is moving down the right path as it looks to build new ports, but also the standard gauge railway that can take many of these products that could be shipped into the market to these landlocked countries, but could also take the products produced in these landlocked countries to the port system here in Dar es Salaam or other coastal cities here in Tanzania to export to the world. So geographically, you're in a very positive position, and I think the host government is moving in the right direction as it relates to improving their port standards, but also transport systems within the country, such as the railroad.
Your Excellency, probably my very last question before I invite you to talk to Tanzanians. What are some of the priorities that, you've mentioned the Biden's administration to Africa and Tanzania, but you now as the ambassador to Tanzania, what are some of the areas that you're looking at in terms of seeing advance from where they are? Yes.
Austin, I tell people that I had 3 major priorities when I came to be the ambassador here a little over a year ago, and it's easy to remember because it's 3 words: health, business, and people. I think it should be intuitive to you that I would be interested in health because of my background as a physician.
Yeah.
And I fortunately inherited a bilateral relationship that had a long history in health interaction as it relates to HIV, malaria, tuberculosis. And I came committed to taking the good work that was done before me and enhancing it and seeing if there are other areas that we can work side by side with the Tanzanian people to improve the health of the Tanzanian. My second is business, and I talked a little bit about that, both promoting reciprocal trade between our two countries, but also encouraging U.S. business investment in country. And we will continue to focus on that. As it relates to people, youth empowerment is something that's very important to me, and I think demographically worthy of our time and our energy in light of this very large population you have. And in addition to that, I come from the United States, so promoting democracy and basic human rights will always be an important aspect of my tenure as ambassador.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Now, my viewers looking at you would probably wish to hear that. You've mentioned Pamoja 60, but you also want to give that again a big punch, so we know we can follow that through the social media. What should we expect as the campaign is running? Do we have a climax maybe on the 9th of December? The social media, has it already been launched, of course? So what should we expect in the next couple of months?
I think over the next several months, we're going to highlight certain aspects of our bilateral relationship, be it in the health field and the PEPFAR initiative, be it in business, across the landscape of our bilateral relationship. So we'll take you on a historical journey of the last 60 years with us. And I have to say that the impetus for this campaign is a strong belief by the U.S. Embassy, the U.S. government, that by partnering, by working arm in arm with a host government such as Tanzania, that we can be very effective working together. And so the title, Pamoja 60.
And that marks the end of the Monday agenda. So thank you very much, Your Excellency Ambassador Donald Wright, for your time to make it to the Monday agenda and for hosting us to the Monday agenda. We are celebrating. Tanzania is celebrating. I'm speaking on behalf of all the Tanzanians. We are celebrating the relationship that, sees many years in the past and many years to come between Tanzania and the United States of America. And I'm happy, to be really very frank, to have learned your three areas of priority: health, business, and people. And we hope as Tanzanians will take that through and sail along with you and, look back another 60 years and say, yes, this initiative was kicked during the Pamoja 60, and we're looking back and we're celebrating more the bilateral relationship between our two countries. So thank you very much. And until next time, I'm your host, Austin Makani. Thank you for watching the Monday Agenda. Keep watching.